Welcome back to the second and concluding segment of this edition of Development Focus with Judy Ojo on ITV. Today is this 12th day in the month of January 2022. And I have with me on this second segment, how do I describe her? An Amazon, a political strategist, a lawyer, a communicator. She's so many rolled into one. Sometimes I ask her how she copes, because it's like 24 hours is not enough for all the things she got involved in. Yet she's always looking youthful and young. Ebere Ifendu, I've known for over 10 years in the political space. She was former women leader of Labour Party. I call her my running mate because almost all the time we run into ourselves at different workshops and programs. It's a pleasure to have you on this show, madam.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year too. Yes.
So tell us a bit about yourself. I don't know you enough beyond what I see in the public, but maybe Nigerians watching you would like to know who exactly is Honorable Ebere Ifendu.
Well, I'm Ebere Ifendu. I'm a mother, a lawyer, a chartered mediator and conciliator, a political strategist, and the president of Women in Politics Forum. It's a non-governmental organization, non-partisan organization, an organization open for every woman that is from 18 years and above, irrespective of your political affiliation. So this is in brief who I am.
Briefly but powerfully whom you are. I've been following your trajectory over the years, and you are very passionate about women in politics and governance. And a lot has been done. Let's talk about what you perceive as the challenges of women in politics.
Yeah, challenges are numerous from different sectors. For some people, when you ask, they will tell you it's about culture and tradition. And for some of us who are practically involved in politics, we will tell you that it's internal party democracy that is lacking in all the political parties, and of course, lack of legislation. So these are the two major things for me before you begin to talk about money, talk about violence, you know. Yeah, exactly, and all those ones. So, but I think that if there's legislation and if there's internal party democracy, all these other challenges, you know, will fizzle somehow, you know, out. Yeah.
Okay. You've been involved in this for decades, and do you face a lot of tremendous challenges, even to emerge as a woman leader in the Labour Party?
National Publicity Secretary too.
National Publicity Secretary. What are you doing differently to affect and impact lives of women who want to aspire to be in politics?
Okay, first of all, for me, is having faced some of these challenges myself, and I began to look at, you know, ways around those challenges, how I was able to maneuver through, you know, to get to the height I am now. I see those things as, you know, things that other women shouldn't actually go through, having gone through them. So I use my personal experiences, I use the experiences of other women, and it was actually the reason we formed the Women in Politics Forum. So it's a forum where we have a kind of experience sharing. What we do actually is, you know, you tell us your story, you let us know, and then women come in, we interact, we share experiences, we look at issues together, and then we begin to, you know, get out solutions. Part of what we did, you know, in this direction is immediately after the 2019 elections, we thought we did well by having a lot of advocacy, reaching out to political parties and all the key players in politics. It helped because we got about 2,970 women contesting. But after that, you go back to look at the drawing board. What happened? 2,970 women contested an election, and only about 67 got elected. Something must have gone wrong. So we decided to have a postmortem of the 2019 election. So we had a big conference, and we got key players, INEC, political parties, we got the candidates themselves, and some aspirants, and donor agencies, the media. We wanted to just really know how each sector impacted on what we did, and how we were not able to get to the point we actually thought we would get to. So from there, we realized that internal party democracy played a huge role. One of it being that the party will always tell women they will give them free forms. And when women are given free forms, they will never be part of the consensus candidate or the zoning system. Because there's this man somewhere who will pay for his form, 25 million, 30 million. And I mean, it's a natural thing. Why would a party concede to a woman that brought nothing against a man that came with such a huge sum of money? So we realized internal party democracy. We also realized that legislation would have helped us. If we had legislation that says 35% must, that's affirmative action, must be women, you will see that no political party will submit their list of candidates without having 35% representation of women. That's on one side. Another side of it, in that INEC should be able to supervise political parties. Having registered them, they should look at their documents, their legal documents, their constitution, their manifesto. They talked about affirmative action, giving positions to women and persons with disabilities, and they don't respect it, they don't follow it. So somebody will have to enforce it. And we think that INEC should be in a position to say no to political parties and inform them that, look, you are working against your legal documents. So for political parties, most of them, they have provisions supporting affirmative action and women's political participation, but they are not respecting it. So these are the things.
So the law is not seen as being supreme there. Okay, recently, your Women in Politics Forum addressed a press conference.
Yeah.
And it will seem you are in support of direct primaries, that the president said is not democratic. How do you wait? You said that will have helped the cause of women. How do you explain that? Direct primaries. Okay,
so direct primaries will mean that every registered member of a political party, card-carrying member of a political party, will have an opportunity to elect who will represent his or her party. And that will, open up the space, because more people would have registered as party members, more people would have come out to contest. The major problem we have in internal democracy and then selection of nomination of candidates is the what do they call it again? The indirect system. That's indirect primaries. Where we have delegates. System. Yes, where we have delegates.
Or collegial system.
Exactly. So the delegate system in political parties, delegates are owned by party leaders. They are owned by party leaders. So women are even disenfranchised from the point of electing delegates. It's the godfathers, the party leaders, who will pick delegates, and those delegates will only do their bid. But when it's an open thing, I will have interest in you, another person will have interest in another person, and we can go and quietly cast our votes, and if you win, that's it. So everyone will be involved. So we felt that it would have helped women, it would have helped the youth, it would have also helped persons with disabilities. Of course, we know that finance is a huge problem for us as women, and as, of course, the youth and the persons living with disabilities. So we thought that with the right primaries would have cured that. We were very optimistic. We thought the presidents would have assented to it. So it was a huge disappointment to us when it was not assented to. But again, the Electoral Act, there are so many other things, in the Electoral Act as it is. So we have the opinion that the selection of candidates should not be enough reason for anyone to discard the entire Electoral Act. So we are saying that, okay, be it as it is or as it may, we want the National Assembly on resumption, review it, send it back to the president. If what is needed is to have direct, indirect, and consensus, even though consensus is something that, we have a different understanding. Because when you say consensus, and even if one person is opposed to it,
that's not consensus.
It's no longer consensus.
It's no longer unanimous.
Yes. And so
invariably consensus as a form of election has been grossly abused in Nigeria.
Oh yes,
because you have almost half of the people in a room disagreeing with you, and you said because the party leader has said this is the way, then that is the consensus.
Yes.
So imposition.
It's strictly imposition. That's what it is. It's not consensus. So I think, they should do away with consensus and just maybe have the direct or indirect primaries.
Which is in Section 87,
yes.
And like I said elsewhere, if something is not broken, you don't need to fix it.
Exactly.
The provision is there very clearly in Section 87 of the 2010 Electoral Act as amended, that political parties shall use either direct or indirect primary. It's only in some few parties that you have the consensus arrangement. Now, let's come back. There is this issue of gender and equal opportunity bill that was thrown out of the Senate recently. And you are so bitter about that. What opportunity did we lose by not having that law, gender and equal opportunity bill, passed?
Okay, for some people, they just, when they hear gender and equal opportunities, they think it's a kind of a bill or a law that will make women, be above men. In gender and equal opportunities bill, a lot is involved there. There's even the widowhood thing that is there. There are so many other laws, and it says that both men and women will have equal opportunities. And I do not see why or any reason for anybody to go against it. But funny enough, in Nigeria, when people do this internally in their respective homes, even those ones that stood up to go against it, they will have a way of bringing up their daughters. And you will find out that children from those families will not be affected. So this is against actually the poor people who do not really have a say. That's why I say religion, I say culture, and all this. They are there, to suppress even the poor. Okay, because you find out that some of these people, their children are highly placed. We talk about women doing very well politically, actually from the north, because I asked somebody the other day in course of analysis, I said we have 6 female ministers. Out of the 6 female ministers, just one from the south. Yes, others are from the north. And these are people from, good families that are protecting them.
And that's the conservative north we are talking about. That women's rights and
so it's actually for the poor. It's actually for people who do not have anybody to speak for them. So we thought that the gender and equal opportunities bill would have given that opportunity. But you see that it's politics everywhere. But the good thing for me, I don't think we've lost out. I will want a situation when the National Assembly resume, we are going to, go back to it. We are making some plans towards that direction where we will go back and then get it, represented, because it wasn't thrown out, it was only stepped down. Okay. So there's a possibility of it coming up. Yes, so we'll have to do that. And
if there are offensive sections that you need to remove, maybe you can rework the bill.
Actually, we have watered down that bill. 8th Assembly rejected it. We went back to the drawing board. We worked on all the bills, and then the only thing they're coming up with is gender equity and gender equality. And you begin to wonder, what's the difference? But if it's just semantics, so okay, we can give them equity.
Yeah, let's make it equity so that at least we'll get started from so. Yeah. But again, let's come to there's this bill that's already passed. VAP bill, Violence Against Persons
Yes,
Prohibition
yes,
Act.
yes.
How much implementation has come on that VAP bill?
Okay, you know that some states are still, domesticating it. I just feel
VAP law.
yeah,
I
the
said
VAP law is no longer a BS
it's
law.
no longer
So
a
some
bill.
states are, in the process of domesticating it. Just recently, I think it was Sokoto or Borno State actually that signed it into law. But the implementation we are talking about is domiciled with the NAPTIP.
Okay.
With the NAPTIP.
Okay,
yes.
National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's domiciled there. So far, I know that NAPTIP is doing a good job with it, starting from the former director, Julie Oka, Julie Oka, was very passionate about, the workers of the VAP bill, and she took it very seriously. And the present DG is doing a good job there. So, but you see, most times in Nigeria, the implementation of laws are usually the problem. But I think that it is also for us to identify when, there's a breach, report and support NAPTIP to ensure that there's justice. So until that is done, I would say that implementation is not really like it's 100%, but yes, we have hope that it's coming up because gradually people are beginning to respond, people are reporting. The major problem we have is most times, people do not understand that it's better for you to go to NAPTIP when there's a breach, instead of going to the police. And then in most cases, the police will have to, be retrained to understand and then be able to refer such cases to NAPTIP. But I think we are doing well with the implementation.
Okay, let me take you up on issue of I will still come to issue of 2023 and the preparation. I learned you've just launched a portal.
Yeah.
But I don't want us to talk about that yet. Let's talk about what currently exists. Gender policy. Where are we with gender policy? This 2006 to 2016 was supposed to be reviewed after 10 years. I learned now that they've eventually reviewed it. Has it been launched?
No,
how much of implementation can we get? I mean, while we are waiting for affirmative action, which I support wholeheartedly, at least the gender policy can push through some barriers. So what's happening with that gender policy?
Okay, this is where I have issues with people in government, the executive and the legislative arm, of course even the judiciary. Because there's a policy, an existing policy that talked about 35% affirmative action for women. And I do not know why a country will come up with a policy, for development, and then the same people are the ones working against it. Implementation of the gender policy has been an issue. If we had gender policy being implemented, some of these bills that we are running around with the National Assembly won't be necessary anymore. You see, so I think that what we need now is, to ensure, and that's part of why Nigerian women are in court with the federal government, because we are questioning them. Why are you not obeying or respecting the gender policy? Gender policy, we didn't come up with it. It was, something that we worked together with the government, a policy that will help the social and even economic development of the country to have, a minimum of 35% representation of women in governance. And we're also saying because we have seen that it's difficult so far for them to implement it. And yet we have a federal character that is also not working with the gender policy. So it's a huge problem. People talk about, reviewing the gender policy. And I'm saying that, okay, even before it is reviewed, what is wrong with even implementing what we have already?
But it's been successfully reviewed.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that even at that time, they were talking about reviewing it. And I'm like, you have an existing document. Why don't you, work with it first before you talk about reviewing it? Now that it has been reviewed, what other excuse do we have? So implementation is very necessary for us to achieve it. People
will say, that this government or successive Nigerian government has done so much for women that they created a Ministry of Women Affairs. There is a National Center for women in central area.
Yeah.
In fact, the National Hospital started off as Women and Child Hospital.
And what happened?
You know, even in states, there are Ministry of Women Affairs.
Yes.
What is the, how much impact has these significant milestones, how much impact have they had on the life of the women participation in governance and in politics?
Sadly for me, you know, the creation of the Ministry of Women Affairs used to be on social development. Would have been a good thing, but sadly it's not, because if you look at the budget process, that ministry is the least funded ministry. And then we are still talking about is the least funded ministry. The social development angle, they have also removed it and then taken it to the humanitarian ministry.
So thereby whittling down the influence
more and
of
more.
Ministry of Women
Affairs. You know, so because the National Development Center is only parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. And what is the funding, percentage of the funding of the ministry and of course the development center? I think the right thing for us to do is to, if government is, you know, serious about the ministry doing a good job, bringing up issues about concerning women, but I give it to the present Minister of Women Affairs. She refused, you know, to see that as a challenge. She saw it as, you know, an opportunity also to be more creative in doing what she's doing. So I congratulate her, the Paul and Talent. She's doing a good job. If you've been following activities of the ministry, she's been able to bring the civil society together, bring women in different sectors, the military, politicians and all the rest. Initially, you know, people used to see that ministry as an appendage of the government. And so if a woman is in PDP, or let me just use the word opposition party, the person will not be free to work with the ministry. But that she's been able to, you know, destroy now that you see that civil society organizations partner with the ministry now. Political parties, irrespective, women irrespective of political affiliation, they are, you know, genuinely working with the ministry. So there is a change. But I'm using this medium now to ask that the budget of the ministry should be reviewed, because you cannot give somebody a huge job with little or no finance to execute it.
Okay. Again, let's come to issue of why do we, in your own estimation, have very poor representation of Nigerian women in parliament? From the statistics you reeled out at your press conference 2 days ago, you said the representation dropped from 5.6%
yeah,
to 4.7.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is responsible? It seems, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it seems that the golden era for women representation in politics was 2007. And that 2007 was the most discredited election we have in Nigeria. So how come we are benchmarking the golden era with an election that was deemed to be very deeply flawed? Because from that 2007, if you go to 2011, 2015, 2019, the number has just been coming down and down and down. So what's responsible?
Well, at that time, 2007, I would think that the political terrain at that time, you know, they were actually looking for credibility. And so they had to bring in more women, you know, to give credibility to the system election at that time. And presently, what we have is lack of internal party democracy, because the qualified women are still there. We still have very strong women in politics. We still have women that will represent, contest and win and give good representation. Like what, even the few women that are there now, they are doing, you know, exceedingly well. The problem we have is men thinking that, politics is their birthright. And then, for some of them at that time, they didn't really believe, that, that they could, contest. And seeing that opportunity came up, women, took over. And again, political will of the president at that time, the leader at that time, who wanted us to have, a mix of both men and women in his government. So political will is there. Internal party democracy that is lacking is also a huge problem. And then we also had an issue of, not getting adequate support from our partners. The problem being that most times when there will be an opportunity for funding, to support women in politics, it will come at a very, late hour where the funds will not, be able to support advocacy and, give women, the necessary support needed. And also, we were also not able, to monitor and have a clear data of women that participated as aspirants and as candidates. And then we also didn't have like the Women in Politics Forum, that at that time to speak up for women irrespective of party affiliation, to do advocacy to respective political parties to ensure that there's more participation for women. But all these things are in existence now, and we are looking at 2023 as a year that will change the dynamics of politics in Nigeria. And I want to tell you that part of the reason we came up with the portal, the resource portal, is for us to have all these things, put in place. In the portal, we created a space where there will be stories of women achievers, women political, achievers, even when they didn't win. What stopped them? These stories will help other women, to come up and then not go through those challenges again. We also have that portal as a resource even for donor agencies, because you're looking for candidates. You click to the to the website and you see all the women, because they have their biography. It's an inclusive an interactive website, and I urge every woman that is interested in politics to log on to that website.
So what's the web address of that dedicated portal?
Yes, is NigerianWomenAspirants.com. NigerianWomenAspirants.com. NigerianWomenAspirants.com.
So if you are contesting whether in Kara Namoda or in Utroke in Bayelsa, yes, or in the village in Ogun, please log on to Women in Politics,
NigerianWomenAspirants.com, yes,
and upload your profile,
exactly,
on that, so that you can be showcased and your story can be told and heard.
Yes.
Okay, so let's look at there are some baby step successes that I want us to examine. How did it happen? In Ekiti State, there was a time we have two female senators coming from Ekiti.
Yes.
Senator Abiodun Olujimi and Senator Fatima Rajirasaki.
Yes.
Then in Anambra
State,
you have Stella Odua and the other Senator Uche Ekunife.
Yeah.
And even Anambra has consistently produced female senators, just like Abia and Honorable and Senator Nkechi Nwogwu,
yes,
at some point.
Yes.
But Anambra posed a very peculiar history of female senator. You had Senator Joy Emodi,
yes,
from Anambra, Uche Ekunife from Anambra, Marjorie Choba Okadigbo, also from Anambra. Now we have Senator Stella Odua from Anambra, and all of that within this Fourth Republic. You are Igbo. What's the magic? How did the Anambra electorate? Is it the same Igbo that is said to be highly discriminatory against women, that sees women as property, that doesn't give too much respect to women, that is now producing higher number of female senator and House of Reps member vis-a-vis where we thought we even have a lot, because outside of Ekiti State, in Oyo State, I know we've only produced one senator, female senator. That's Honorable Somonu, former speaker of Oyo State House of Assembly, who came to Senate and did a one-term. Honorable Mulikata Adeola Konde did not succeed in her ambition to come, but she proved her mettle as the House leader. And we have also had Speaker of House of Representatives coming from Osun State, former Speaker, what's her name Patricia Olubumi, and also people like Honorable the one that succeeded Ete is also a female, forgotten her name now. So this baby, have you done research to? And in Lagos, we've had 3-time senator now. The wife of Oluremi Tinubu coming from Lagos. Even in Lagos, we have Honorable Abike Dabiri that did 3 times as a member of House of Reps. So these silos, these successes, has it been documented? How did these women break the glass ceilings and got elected? Because election is about the most toughest way to assess governance now. In terms of appointment, somebody can nominate you. Even you can be the next, you can be a minister in 2023. After all, Honorable Mrs. Sharon Ikeazon was just like you. You are all attending Women in Politics Forum together, and she got picked as a Minister of Environment now. So what I'm saying is, has there been history, documented history of how these women in these states that we have mentioned, how did they break the glass ceiling to emerge victorious in their respective states as senator or House of Reps members?
Okay, before I take on the question about women, I want to say something about the perception about the Igbos not giving opportunities to women. But you can see that with what we have just said now, you will say it's not true.
Okay.
It's not true because it's a misconception. Because if it's true, we wouldn't have women, emerge as senators. Senator Uche Okunife almost made it as governor because she ran a very, very beautiful campaign when she campaigned under, I think it was PPA then. And then this last time again, but I think what it was internal zoning or internal politics, that schemed her out of the process. And
that was under PDP.
That was under PDP. And then even again, Senator Joy Emodi also almost became the first elected female governor in Nigeria, but for the transition that happened during Abacha's time and things like that. So, if the Southeast, they are as conservative as people perceive them to be, some of these things wouldn't have been achieved because we have very strong women, starting from years back when women organized the 1929 Aba Women's Riots. So
you are from Abia?
I'm from Abia. Okay, yes, proudly.
So, but you are not from Aba.
No, not from Aba.
Okay.
But then it was an Eastern thing,
cry.
Yes. So even women from the old Cross River State now, it was old Eastern region actually. I had that.
But Aba Women's Riots is documented.
It's documented, yes. So you can see that. Women have a voice, so. But
way back in 1929,
you can imagine. So yes, so it's perception, and I think it's a very wrong perception. But generally, the political terrain hasn't been easy for women. So it's really not about this part of the country. It's a general thing because there are a lot of issues attached to it, and then part of what I said about our portal is that we're going to be telling stories of these women and some other women you have not mentioned because these are the ones that are out there in the limelight. But there are other women, great achievers also.
Okay, it's Honorable Yomi I wanted to remember from Osun State. You possibly know her. Fair complexion.
Yes, I do. Yes. So you see, we have to tell their stories for other women to know that yes, we had women before who achieved some of these things, and because we're going to be interviewing them, and all those interviews will be put out.
So you interview them, you tell their stories. How are you going to be helping women in terms of funding? Because every time I attend, workshop about women, and the lamentation is always about funding. We do not have the funds. We could not match the men. Vote buying is robbing us of victory, and all of this. If the excuse is not violence, it's about not having enough resources. So, is there any contemplation of a crowdfunding for some of these women under the auspices of NigerianWomenAspirant.com?
Yes, because we're working with a Nigerian Women Trust Fund. And if you've been following activities of Electa, they've also come up with funding for women that are aspiring. We also more recently working with WIMBIs also.
Women in business.
Women in business. So you see, initially we used to work in silos in every organization trying to just do their thing. But we have come to realize that we need to work more, collaborate so that people will come with their strength. The Nigerian Women Trust Fund is looking at sourcing for funds, and at the launch of not really the launch of the website, the press conference also, where we talked about the portal, UN Women made a pronouncement. From now, they've already started working with grassroots women to ensure that more women come out to register. As
about 6 million. They said UN Women said they were going to mobilize 6 million women to participate in the first quarter of this year. That's a very tall order.
Yes, and they've already started, and so far I think they have a reasonable number so far. And then you also heard them talk about, now I'm going to be working in all the states. Initially, we had issues of, some of these organizations just having pilot states, and
3 states.
Exactly. So even when we find very strong women outside their state, they will not be able to support. So now that they have, opened it up, they're going to be working in the 36 states and then the 774 local governments. So it's something that will change the dynamics. I believe strongly that we are going to be able to support more women this time. It's not just about funding. Most women also will need a lot of capacity building. They will also need an opportunity to even understand the party intrigues. These things are not there. Some of them who want to contest will come out very late. Lack of information. So these are some of the things that the portal will, help them to solve. Once, you visit the portal, you'll be getting updates on information on activities, when INEC is asking for this, when party is asking for what, because we are going to be working with all the political parties, work with INEC. So the portal is not just going to serve only the aspirants. It's going to, be like a hub for activities, concerning women participation in politics. And then we also will have the donor agencies also coming to that portal to begin to look at, people they can support, even individuals. You can, go to the portal. By the time you read up about a berry fender, you may want to support a berry fender in one way or the other. There will be an opportunity for you to directly support that candidate of your choice.
Tell me, are you running in 2023?
Shouldn't I be declaring for presidency?
Yes, you're eminently qualified. So, you can make that open declaration here and now so that we know where to support. This is a model support I'm also giving.
Yes.
Anyway, I wish you all the best
Thank you very much.
Want to run. Yeah. But let's come back to issue of governance. The President Muhammadu Buhari, at the Women's Center, during the ahead of 2019 campaign, made a commitment to 35% affirmative action in his cabinet. Now we have a cabinet of 43 members, only 6 women. Did you communicate with the president to say, this is Baba, this is not what you promised us? Or did you go through the wife? The wife is also very vocal and very dynamic and promoting women interests through Future Assured initiative. Have you made efforts to either see the president or to see the wife to say, even in the remaining 1.5 years, after all, the president changed his cabinet, dropped 2 members of his cabinet in September of 2021. Who knows? He may have it in mind that he wants to rejig the cabinet in the remaining 1.5 years left of his administration. Can you still represent and say, Mr. President, you did make a commitment to us about 35%. Can we have that fulfilled as your lasting legacy?
Yes, that conference actually was organized by Women in Politics Forum in collaboration with NCWS. Council for Women's Societies, and then with the Office of the First Lady.
Okay.
Yes. So the First Lady was actually part of that conference, and we got aspirants. It was actually an advocacy conference where we had party leaders. First Lady reached out to them to say, please, women are qualified, and we are insisting that we'll get 35% representation. The president himself was present at that conference, and he made all the commitments, and he said beautiful things about women. Let me say that even when he contested the first time, and when he reached out to different women groups, he had town hall meetings with women, different women groups. He also talked about his support for women, and the promises of giving women appointive positions and things like that. At that conference again, he repeated those things. And then when he nominated his cabinet, it was obvious that we didn't get anything out of our...
That's what I'm saying. Did you go to remind
So yes, what did we do? We played back all those things the president said.
The soundtrack.
The soundtracks, we were in the media, we had press conferences, we wrote letters, and we criticized that. But I think part of what played out, it's party politics. Party politics. And it was that outcome of that we decided to work more with political parties. The president may want to do that, appoint more women. But nomination also will come from
the governors.
The party leaders.
The party leaders, okay.
Yes. And if they are not giving you the list as you want to, and they say it's democracy. And in a democracy, you see that even you cannot veto certain things. But this is not like saying that the president did enough for women. He didn't do enough for women. Because I still will say that the president should have insisted that we have the Nigerian gender policy.
Even if it's
we canvassed for their votes. We made promises.
There is National Council for Women's Society.
Yes.
There is Nigerian Women Trust Fund.
Yes.
There are different avenues through which either the president or his wife can reach out and say, look, these are 20 women.
The first lady supported the cause. The first lady even came out publicly to criticize that decision of not giving women 35%. But you have to also understand that she would just lobby as we are lobbying. She does not have, the political power to do anything. It has to be lobbying. On her part, for the first time, a first lady came out, stood firm with Nigerian women. I give her, that credit. So, but what I'm saying is, the president should have been guided by federal character and the Nigeria gender policy.
Exactly. So, I'm saying, it's not late in the day. The administration is still working.
Yeah.
They're still, they will not pack their luggage until May 29, 2020. So he can still redeem that situation.
Yeah, I think the process is on because we actually wrote to the president through the presidency. We question some of these appointments. And then if you ask, like just the present, the last appointment, the NNPC board, a woman, Senator Marjorie is there, and there are other two women. We have them trickling in.
Because that position was initially given to Senator Araru.
Yes.
But through the back door, Marjorie
whatever happened. Politics.
But what I will challenge you, Ebere, is that you need to also play your policies smartly.
Okay.
The wife of the president is very influential.
Yeah.
She has an NGO, Future Assured.
Yes.
And then you also have Minister of Women Affairs, who is also close to the presidency.
Yeah.
If you, in the good news you have given me this morning, which I'm very excited about, is that women groups have now decided to work in synergy, to not, rather than working in silos. Women Trust Fund is doing this, this other one, UN Women is doing their own, this other one is doing. So if you harness your potentials and form a critical mass and make a demand, as you have made, the National Assembly and all of that. If you make that demand persistently to the President through the Office of Chief of Staff and the Secretary to the Federal Government and the wife of the President, if you reach out on advocacy visit, you can even ask, women in foreign policies can even ask to see the President.
No, we did that. We did that. The last appointment, we were there. In fact, when the president got elected, he was still president-elect. We reached out. And then when he nominated his cabinet at that time, we also paid him a visit. And where we
you can do that again, because I believe all hope is not lost. Anyway, I want to thank you, Ebere Ifendu, for coming on the show. It's been wonderful hosting you. I enjoyed this interactive. I don't know about you, and we are here to also give support in our own little way to Nigerian women, making sure that issues around women gets promoted and in the public space. I want to wish you very well in your endeavor this year, and may your presidency of Nigeria Women in Politics Forum, may it be very fruitful. So I've given my own 2 penny tips. If you follow through, maybe we'll have some success. And some governors like Ayode Fayemi, who has a wife that is very influential even in the development. Yeah,
but honestly, we have some governors that are, living up to their promises. Okay. We can mention the Kwara State Governor,
Kwara State
Sokoto Governor, and of course, the River State Governor. These are some men that are, working very hard to see that promises made to Nigerian women are fulfilled. And there will be an opportunity to celebrate them. While celebrating them also, we are going to call out all those ones that are not supporting women. Even the Kogi State Governor is also doing very well in that area. So finally, I want to ask every aspirant, irrespective of party affiliation, to please log on to our website, nigeriawomenaspirants.com. And it's an inclusive and interactive website. Thank you, ITV,
Nigeria
for this opportunity.
Aspirants. And
Nigerian Women Aspirants.com.
Okay, it's all right. That will be the size of our package this morning. I want to again thank Honorable Ebere Ifendu for coming on this show. We hope to see you some other time in the nearest future. If you want to sponsor or partner with us on this program, the opportunity is there. This program is open for sponsorship and advert placement. Come do business with us so that we can also help your business and whatever you are doing for humanity. That's where we'll put a wrap on today's edition of Development Focus with Gidi Ojo. Do stay tuned next Wednesday when fresh edition will be brought your way. Have a great day.